Help! Fuck. Troops, I saw a bear here. Welcome to Update 64 for Foxhole. Let's call this part 1 of a quality of life trio of updates. But there are still some new things, like some new planes and some new anti-planes, that we'll talk about as well. A couple of notes for this update. First off, during the process of recording this update, I was sick. So you're going to hear varying levels of voice quality across this, and I apologize ahead of time. Second off, right after I publish this update, I will be leaving for a short road trip vacation. So I might not be able to get every single last minute change into the voice recorded portion of this update. If there are any features that I have missed or any last minute changes that the devs have put into the Devbranch or for the live version, please refer to the comments down below. I will put them in a pinned corrected comment. You guys, the community, can help me out as well. If you see something where the numbers have changed, or I have completely forgotten to mention something from the patch notes, please mark it down below and make it clear what you are correcting or what you are adding on to these patch notes. Thank you guys, I couldn't do this without you, both in terms of making sure this update video is as accurate as possible, and also just in general. I don't have a Patreon or anything. This is all funded through YouTube ads, which don't really pay that much to begin with. So regardless, thank you for your guys' support. Now, on to the update. One of the first big things you'll notice is some map changes, and more specifically, map UI changes. If you're in a squad, you'll now be able to see your squad leader's location on the map, not just having to rely on the compass indicator anymore, and this indicator will update whether you have or don't have a radio. A second big change is that you'll be able to access the player context menu from a player's name in map posts. Some new icons added to the map legend. There's now 4 classes of ships: the Longhooks, Poseidons, Mercies, and Bluefins. As well as split intel coverage. You can now toggle air or ground coverage individually. Enemy storm cannons, intelligence centers, and weather stations no longer appear on map intelligence. Production structures, such as refineries and facilities, will now display order completion progress. Notice how this assembly station has a % completion on the truck icon, telling me that it's 100% completed, while the adjacent assembly station doesn't have an order processing, and thus it's got no % completion. Another amazing feature is using Control and A by default. You can now pin tooltips onto the map, so you can reference and compare various points of interest. Things like town halls, bases, assembly pads, seaports, anything that's got a stockpile, you can basically pin it on the map. This is extremely helpful in case you want to keep track of logistical production queues, or even just keep track of where you're going from point A to point B for a delivery. Anything you can think of. There's a bunch of features that comes with each of these pinnable tooltips. The first button here is simply to delete the tooltip. The second button allows you to copy any given stockpile's contents to your clipboard as a CSV for importing to spreadsheets. Here's me opening it up in Notepad. Third button from the right is the View Stockpile Changes. So not only can you see what's in the stockpile, but from the time that you pin your tooltip, you can see what has changed in the stockpile. Next button down the line is to refresh the stockpile to make sure it's up to date. And the last one is to close but not delete the tooltip. There's also a new Actions tab below the War Achievements. On the far right is to hide all pinned tabs. Next one in the middle is to show them all. And the last one is to delete them all. And you're able to pin up to 25 different tooltips. Oops, all Logi. Since we're on the map, a couple of map changes. I'll just go over some of the general ones, but every region I mention here has been modified to some greater or lesser extent. The Drownvale airfield has been removed. In the Fingers, the Tusk and Captain's Dread relic bases have been removed, and the territory has now been combined with Fort Barley. Headman's Villa has also lost its seaport, coastal gun, and shipyard. The Gutter has seen its riverbanks adjusted, and a train bridge added south of Kuopa, and some various landscape adjustments have been made around the map. In Kurastrand, a bridge has been added west of Suosalo, leading to Lumia. The Marty Hospital was relocated, and the landscape north of Menin has been expanded, with the relic base pushed slightly further north and the airfield located on this new landmass. The Hardline airfield and Lynn of Mercy has also been removed. On at Palatine Berm, an island has been added near the Fisherman's Row border. Coastline has been readjusted, 2 shipyards have been removed from the Droll, and the seaport, coastal gun, and shipyard have been removed from Vendette. In Parry Peak, the coastline's been readjusted, road and bridge layouts have been adjusted as well. The landscapes between Surista and Pariah have been adjusted, and some other minor adjustments. For Alavi's Wake, some coastline around Kulku have been adjusted, and the landscape around Corpse Road as well. And Legacy docks were removed from both Westgate and Endless Shore. One last map change is that now you'll get a notification when one of your map markers expires. With this update, there's 2 new ammo types. The first is the Tenna Torpedo. This is described as a medium torpedo, and it's for use by specialized aircraft. So currently, the Warden-specific torpedo bomber. This torpedo can only be produced at facility ammunition factories. The next new ammunition type is the Absol anti-aircraft rounds. These are designed for use with mobile anti-air vehicles. More on those later. However, do note, these aren't singular rounds. These are clips or bundles of 5 rounds. Again, more on that later. These can be produced in regular town factories, and both of these count as large objects when you carry them. There are 2 new additional scout planes, one for each faction. The Colonials come in with the A-59 Venti Perdix. It's a scout plane that takes off from the ground. It doesn't have any waterborne capabilities. It does, however, launch quillback torpedoes. I can carry 2 of them, which need to be loaded with the use of a wrench. The driver pilots the plane and fires the forward-facing machine gun, while the secondary seat fires the torpedoes. Meanwhile, the Wardens respond with the Luminary Mark VI Emissary. It carries the hull-breaker mines. It can carry 2, they must be loaded up with a wrench, and can be dropped nearly simultaneously. And again, the pilot flies the plane, fires the forward-facing machine gun, and the secondary seat drops the mines. And once again, this scout plane cannot land in the water. It's specifically ground takeoffs and landings. Next, let's talk about some air-specific changes. Starting on the ground, ironically enough, small aircraft parts can now be submitted and assembled by hand. This should speed up the process, not needing to involve another vehicle. As an extra bonus, the engineer uniform can assemble them more quickly than all other uniforms, turning the engineer uniform into a dual-purpose ground crew uniform as well. Once you're up in the air, in your aircraft, you'll see a height indicator circle or semicircle added into the elevation line of aircraft. When the circle is complete, that means the aircraft you are looking at is roughly level with your aircraft. If you see the top half of the circle, that means the aircraft you're focused on is below your aircraft's level. And if you see the bottom half of the circle, that means the aircraft is above your aircraft's height. This will help you to distinguish whether an aircraft is above, at level, or below you. While it's easy in some occasions, it's really hard in others, just from the camera angle. Speaking of flight, during inclement weather, such as rain or snow, aircraft will struggle with their controls a little bit more and have more difficulty maintaining altitude. So not only will it be visually harder to fly, it will physically be harder to fly during bad weather, and maybe giving the infantry some reprieve and a chance to finally be more welcoming to inclement weather. Aircraft movement has also been smoothed out, and hopefully some of their optimization has made it so you'll encounter less lag when flying, especially at high altitudes. But we'll have to see about that, and honestly it might still depend on your internet connection. But hopefully you do notice smoother flying. And while this next point was in the balance section, I'm putting it here just as a general note. All aircraft parts are now easier to wreck, but they will take longer to become destroyed. So you get a bit of more of a heads up when you've taken damage versus when your wing is missing and you're not going to make it back to base. With some of my preliminary testing, I gotta say, yeah, you can certainly damage parts a lot easier now, both from air-to-air and ground-to-air combat. The Tsigalia and Tulka Welkavern no longer take damage when they are flipped over with total parts. The repulsion weight of heavy bombers has been increased, making them more difficult to be pushed around by lighter aircraft. Speaking of ground-to-air combat, the two new mobile ground anti-air vehicles. Both are based on light tank chassis. The Colonials aim upwards with their HA-1 Sagaris, and the Wardens sight towards the sun with the Sharky Devitt Bird Eater, Mark I. Both these tanks come with one slot for ammunition, and they both carry the Absol anti-air rounds that we talked about earlier. They come with a driver and a gunner seat. No commander for this one. Driving controls is pretty standard to a light tank, but for the gunner, each of these Absol ammo packages counts for 5 rounds in the barrels. So deposit 1 tick of ammunition, and you get 5 explosions out of it. And these are reasonably rapid-firing cannons. And just like all anti-aircraft weapons, they can utilize a ground targeting mode, but press Shift and F to go into an aircraft targeting mode. Pair these up with your armor lines, and keep those skies clear. Here's some general new features that applies specifically to ground vehicles. Crane shippable placement can now be overridden with Shift, allowing shippables to be placed near structure interaction areas. Another great edge case for this is placing pallets of ammo closer to the edge of an octagonal trench, and allowing for placement where otherwise there might just not be enough room to register in the normal mode, but once you enter the shift mode, there's just enough room to squeeze it by. When repairing structures or vehicles, you will now see the name of the target that you are repairing. Handy for most cases, but absolutely essential if you're trying to repair aircraft parts, where the repair zones can be quite close to each other. Large gauge and small gauge trains now count their fuel the same way normal vehicles do. So you won't see that bar go to 0 and then recharge for every single individual piece of coal that you submit to it. Now it's just one solid bar for the entire fuel stack. Speaking of trains, train tracks that run across roads now no longer slow down vehicles running over them. For material trailers, they can now all be produced inside the vehicle garages. You don't need to produce them at an assembly pad at a facility. Thank goodness for that. For tripod-based machine guns, and yes, we're going to count these as vehicles, they can now enter anti-aircraft mode by pressing Shift plus F. In fact, anywhere tripod-mounted machine guns are mounted, such as half-tracks or other vehicles, they can also enter an anti-aircraft mode. Vehicles that have been damaged can now be submitted to stockpiles, as long as they meet these two conditions. Vehicles that have armor, such as tanks, will still need to have their armor fully repaired, meaning you'll have to take them to a vehicle garage and give them a quick repair before submitting them to a stockpile. And vehicles must still be over their disabled threshold, so you can't have a vehicle smoking and immovable submitted to a stockpile. It has to at least be in working order. Still though, this eases up on a common frustration for logistics players of having to repair every single percentage on a vehicle. Another big change is large ground vehicle anchoring. Vehicles like locomotives, Tempest rail storm cannons, super heavy tanks, and battle tanks can now be anchored in place. Once you reserve the vehicle to your squad, you then have the option to anchor it in place. What this does is completely lock the vehicle down. No one will be able to enter or use the vehicle in any capacity. Doesn't matter if they're on your faction or not. And it also doesn't even matter if they have a wrench or not. The vehicles must be unanchored for them to be interacted with at all. This is really handy for those who want to keep vehicles in deep storage and to not have to rely on a stationary crane exploit in order to keep partisans away from it. Vehicles and structures that can be made at mass production factories can now be recreated whilst in a stockpile via the context menu, or right mouse button click. Several issues with RPG aiming has been fixed, making their aim more consistent. This should help both handheld RPGs and vehicle-mounted RPGs.
I give up. Every fucking shot has been a miss today.
Small trains now have a fallback exit position in case the primary door is obstructed. Some aircraft-specific balances. For these scout planes, the following changes apply to both the Colonial Venti Daedalus and the Warden Luminary Herald. The hitboxes have been refined to more accurately reflect the aircraft's visuals. Air intelligence detection range has increased from 100 to 150. Its health has been decreased from 600 down to 300, although in the Luminary's case it's 500 down to 300. Their fuel capacities have been increased from 100 to 150. However, the Daedalus fuel consumption has increased by 35%, while the Luminary's fuel consumption has increased by 10%. That being said, due to differing fuel consumptions, both planes should be roughly matched, and compared to the Airborne update, should fly 10% further than before. For their primary machine guns, their max range has been decreased to 40 meters, max reachability has been decreased to 65 meters, and the reload time has been increased from 2 to 5 seconds. For both these planes, their payloads now require a wrench to be loaded, so it'll be a little slower reloading these things. Both of them have had their maximum payload size reduced to 2. For the Colonial Daedalus scout plane, both its bombs can now be dropped almost simultaneously, allowing you potentially to double up on your damage. Both of these planes have had their cost increase from 80 to 100 refined materials, and they both will receive less damage at low-speed collisions now. Moving on to fighters, for the Toxic Blind Silver and Luminary Mark II Harbinger, the Assembly Material 1 cost has been removed. The Assembly Material 3 cost has increased from 0 to 50. Assembly Material 4 cost has been reduced from 100 to 50. Thermal shielding cost has increased from 0 to 10. The Blind Silver specifically has had its maneuverability improved. The Tulka White Raven Assembly Material 2 cost has increased from 145 to 200. The Assembly Material 3 cost has increased from 40 to 50. Reload time has increased from 2 to 7.5 seconds. Its max range has been decreased from 75 to 70 meters. Its thermal shielding cost has increased from 0 to 10, and its fuel consumption has been increased by 5%. The Murgo 4 Myrmidon Assembly Material 3 cost has been reduced from 100 down to 50. Thermal shielding from 0 to 10. Rare alloy cost is reduced from 5 to 4. Now requires its strike rounds to be loaded with a stockpile and a wrench, similar to the Man-O-War. Its maximum number of bombs has been reduced from 4 to 2. Tail and wing health has increased from 575 to 750. Fuselage health has increased from 1,000 to 1,150. The part repair cost increased from 75 to 100, and its payload firing duration has increased from 0 to 6 seconds. For its MG gunner, its max range has increased from 35 to 50 meters, and its max reachability from 50 to 70 meters. For the Warden Man-O-War, hitboxes have been slightly improved to match its visuals. Assembly Material 4 cost has been removed. Thermal shielding cost has increased from 0 to 10. Rare alloy cost has increased from 5 to 6. The payload has been converted from Moray torpedoes to the medium Tenna torpedoes that we talked about earlier. Note that this torpedo has a 15% chance of causing a large leak, otherwise it causes a standard leak. Its MG gunner has had its max range increased from 35 to 50 meters, and its reachability has been increased from 50 to 70. Both the heavy bombers have had their thermal shielding cost increased from 0 to 10. The time between bomb drops has increased slightly. Bombs need to be loaded with a wrench now for each individual bomb. Its parts repair has increased from 75 to 50. For its MG gunners, max range increased from 30 to 50, and max reachability from 50 to 70. For the Welkavern specifically, its hitboxes have also received an improvement to match its visuals, and its rear MG gunner turn radius has been reduced from 60 down to 45 meters. The Warden Paratrooper plane, the Zealot, its MG gunners, max range has increased from 30 to 50, max reachability has increased from 50 to 70, hitboxes are now more accurately reflective of its visuals, and its part repair cost has increased from 75 to 125. For the Colonial Pegasus Paratrooper plane, MGs, same thing, 35 to 50 meters range, increase from 35 to 50 meters range, and max reachability from 50 to 70 meters. Parts repair cost has increased from 75 to 100. Its aircraft mechanical parts, large, thermal shielding cost has increased from 0 to 1. Aircraft engine large, thermal shielding cost has increased from 0 to 1. The Loadsman Lorica and Aviator Raiment rare material cost has increased from 1 to 2. And the Auster harness and Cloudrunner vesture ammo stack size in the backpack has increased from 2 to 3. For ship balances, large ship armor piercing mitigation has increased from 60 to 75%. The Colonial Trident submarine crush depth has increased from 20 to 25 meters. Submerged electricity consumed per second decreased from 0.14 to 0.1. Max battery charge has increased from 150 to 195. For the Colonial Conqueror destroyer, health has been increased from 38,500 to 46,200. Its ammo stockpile has been increased from 300 to 450. For the Callahan Warden battleship, its ammo stockpile size has been increased from 900 to 1,200. The Warden Blacksteel health has been increased from 34,500 to 41,400. The The Colonial Titan class battleship health has been increased to 74,750 to match that of the Callahan. The Strider Colonial gunboat repair cost is increased from 150 to 200. The Rinspear Warden gunship repair cost is increased from 130 to 200. The Colonial infantry ship Sombra inventory size is increased from 1 to 2. And the Colonial gunboat Type C Charon 4 turret now rotates a full 360 degrees, though note that its direct fire is obstructed when it's aiming at itself. For ground vehicle balance, the Colonial Talos tank range has increased from 35 to 40 meters. Process construction material cost of 15 has been removed, while steel construction material cost of 3 has been added. The Colonial Stygian bolt pushgun and Warden Balfour stockade 75mm horizontal aiming has increased 15 degrees to either side of its center. The Colonial Action tankette acceleration has improved slightly, mobile and static rotation improved significantly, repair cost has been reduced from 135 to 80, reverse speed has been increased, and its stability cost per shot has been reduced. Meanwhile, the Colonial Ixion tankette and the Dionysus rocket battery and Vesta flame tankette have all had their acceleration improved slightly, mobile and static rotation improved significantly, top speed increased, and repair cost reduced to 100. For Warden Scout tanks, their repair cost has been reduced from 135 down to 100. Specifically to the Kingspire, its armor health has been increased from 6,000 to 8,000, track disable chance increased from 20 to 25%, and stability cost per shot has been reduced. For the King Gallant 30mm Scout tank, its armor health has been increased from 7,500 to 8,500, and its track disable chance reduced from 30 down to 20%. For the Colonial Hasta BTD, its handling has been adjusted to match other battle tanks, top speed improved slightly, static rotation speed improved, and acceleration increased. For the Warden Gallagher Highwayman, its max range has been increased from 35 to 40 meters, max reachability has been increased from 40 to 45 meters. For the Warden Silverhand and Warden Silverhand Chieftain, refined material cost has increased from 155 to 160, reverse speed has been reduced by 20%, their accelerations have decreased, armor penetration chance decreased from 27 to 25%. The Silverhand's 68mm cannon reload time has been reduced from 5.5 to 4.5. Its armor health has been increased from 13,300 to 17,000. And the Chieftain's armor health has increased from 13,300 to 15,000. For the Warden Silverhand Lord Scar, steel construction material cost has decreased from 45 down to 15, static rotation rate increased by 33%, acceleration decreased slightly, and armor penetration chance decreased from 30 down to 28%. For the Colonial Bardiche tank, 68mm cannon magazine capacity has been increased from 2 to 3. The 68 dedicated inventory slot has been increased from 40 to 45. For its MG gunner, its max range has been increased from 35 to 40, max reachability from 40 to 45, and its horizontal aiming angle increased from 28 to a full 40. For the Colonial Spatha, its range has been increased from 40 to 45. Its high velocity modifier has been removed. Armor health has been decreased from 13,550 to 10,500. Minimum armor health has been reduced from 33 down to 30%. Process construction material cost has increased from 8 to 12, and its reload time has increased from 3 to 4 seconds. For the Warden, Noble Widow, and Noble Firebrand, penetration chance has been increased from 17 to 22%. Off-road and reverse speed penalty has been removed, and its fuel consumption has been reduced by 30%. Both battle tanks, the Lance 36 and the Flood Mark I, their MG stability shot per cost has been reduced. For small arms balance, the Elios Infantry Dagger and Phalios Raiding Club quick attacks have had their damage increased from 50 to 80, and their stamina costs reduced from 15% down to 5%. The charged attack on these weapons have had their damage increase from 100 to 110, meanwhile the stamina cost has been reduced from 20 down to 10%. And, more importantly, the movement speed penalty whilst holding a charged attack has been removed, so you can sprint at full speed while charging up a heavy attack. The Buckhorn CCQ bayonet has had its quick attack stamina cost reduced from 15 down to 10%, and its charge attack damage has been increased from 100 to 110. Its stamina cost has been reduced from 25 down to 20%, and its movement speed penalty whilst holding a charge attack has been removed. A punch's stamina cost has also been reduced from 20 down to 5%. For the Warden's Gunner's Breastplate, it now allows you to stack light kinetic ammo in its inventory. Its damage mitigation against light kinetic attacks has increased from 50 to 80%, and its quantity per crate size has been increased from 5 to 10. For the Colonial Villian Flak Vest, It now allows also stacking of light kinetic ammo. Light kinetic damage mitigation has increased from 30 to 55%, and its bleed chance modifier has been reduced slightly. That is to say you're less likely to receive bleeding damage. Patch me up, thank you. The Colonial Volta repeater, time between shots has been reduced from 2.2 to 1.3 seconds. For the Warden No. 4 Pillory Scattergun, its 60% high velocity has been converted to 10% low velocity, now requiring 2 shots to kill a full health soldier. The Warden Booker Storm Rifle has had its stability cost per shot increased, ammo capacity increased from 30 to 36, maximum accuracy reduced, and stagger modifier reduced by 50%, reducing how much stagger any bullet does. For the Booker Greyhound, its assembly material 2 cost has been reduced from 5 to 0, and its assembly 1 material cost has increased from 0 to 5. Both sniper rifles, the Clancy Rocca and the Augur, have been removed from the factory and mass production factories and have now been added to infantry arms factories to reduce their frequency on the battlefield. For the Warden Clancy Rocca sniper rifle, its high velocity has been reduced from 125 down to 55%. Accuracy loss from cursor movement has been reduced by 25%, and a suppression modifier of 100% has been added. The Warden Osprey reload time has been reduced from 5 down to 3.5 seconds. The Colonial Quick Hatch process construction material cost has increased from 10 to 25. Both factions have had their heavy machine guns, the Lamentum and the Malone, firing angle increased slightly. The Colonial Fushina burst rifle has had its maximum accuracy reduced, while its stagger and hit chance reduced by 50%. The Colonial Omen rifle maximum accuracy has been increased. Its ammo capacity has been reduced from 10 down to 8. Accuracy lost from cursor movement has been reduced by 20%. And its stagger on hit has been reduced by 15%. The Warden Blakero carbine shouldering time has been reduced by 50%, and it's the accuracy floor from movement has increased from 0 to 40%. And the Hawthorne maximum accuracy has been increased. Some other general balances include the ballistic rocket's fuel time has been reduced from 24 down to 6 hours, and its launch countdown has been reduced from 48 to 24 hours. For devastation on the battlefield, max damage multiplier has been reduced from 2 times to 1.5 times, and its max breach chance multiplier has been reduced from 2 down to 1.5 times. Trench high explosive damage mitigation has increased from 95 to 97%. Concrete settle times, excluding superstructures and aircraft runways, has been reduced from 24 down to 18 hours. And the Colonial Polybos emplaced weapon range has been increased from 45 to 50 meters. Okay, we're almost through this, troopers. Other miscellaneous changes include communication rating systems have changed. A user's comm rating is now updated when a threshold is reached. A poor comms rating no longer prevents world chat usage, instead adds a cooldown between your posted messages. Very poor comms rating is now the only rating that prevents any usage of world chat. Adjusted the balancing of the comm system across the board, updated the downvote prompt text, and updated the F1 screen to give communication tooltips. The ranks now have capital letters in them. Hooray! Still kind of wish they were symbols, but whatever. Stockpile codes are obstructed when typed with streamer mode enabled. Signposts now display a faction symbol next to the owner's name to identify which faction the sign was made by. Roads have received some visual upgrades, making it easier to distinguish between road qualities, and added some more variation to snowy road tiers. And there was some localization language updates. One final note is that Charlie and Alpha Shards are being merged, at least for the time being. We'll see. Maybe they'll implement that skirmish suggestion I put forth a couple of weeks ago. There were some bug fixes along with this update, but I'll leave that for the patch notes down below. Okay, that was a very, hopefully, quality of life and balance heavy update, and thank you for sticking with me on this one, you guys. Very much appreciate it. Again, not been the most fantastic week to have to pump out this update as fast as possible. If you appreciate me pumping out this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll shut up for now. And as always, good luck, keep your heads down, and stay in your foxholes. Bear out. I fucking forgot to reload.